Hello everyone, Damien here, another video on the channel today where we're looking at how to scout, mainly in the lower leagues, using techniques to scout as effectively and efficiently as possible, but also as monetary efficiently as possible as well, which is probably the main thing. So today we'll be having a look at a number of techniques I use to get the best out of scouting down in the lower leagues. Before we jump into the game, I'd just like to say, please, if you enjoy the content, if you find some really efficient techniques and something you're going to use on your game now after you've gone through this video, please subscribe to the channel, like the videos, and make sure you just tick that notification bell as well to not miss out on any videos that are coming in the future. And also, just quickly, and I'll pop it up on the screen, if you haven't seen my how to create a tactic video, please, you can jump over to that first if you like before you watch this one, as this one here is mainly about identifying the players that you need to fit into your tactic. If you haven't set your tactic up, well, it's not going to work that well. It's just going to be hit and miss on exactly what you're recruiting, and that may not shape the squad well enough for an assault on a promotion or even a promotion challenge as you're trying to build your way up in the leagues. But now we'll jump into the game and I'll see you there. Okay, we're in the game. And just a quick recap of this save. It's my Stirling Albion save. In Scotland, we started in League 2, so a couple of divisions below the top flight, if you're not aware of how the Scottish divisions work. As you can see, we finished second in our first season, getting into the playoffs but then being knocked out before we finished first the next year and having automatic promotion into League 1. And then we finished third, which was in the playoff spots, but we got knocked out in the final. So again, this season we're again in League 1 fighting for automatic promotion. And I think really the key to the success and the key to fighting up those top positions in the league year after year, even with a promotion, has been the really solid scouting and player identification and recruitment. So finding those players that we think are good enough to take the team that extra step up, but then also being able to get them into the club, even if it is on those short-term contracts, and just constantly flipping players until we can get into a financial level where we are okay and we can spend some money if needed. So going to point number 5 on my scouting, on how to scout, it revolves around the director of football. So if we go to transfers, go to director of football, choose transfer targets, and there we are. We can actually get suggestions on players. So you can choose get a suggestion on either any position, plus you can actually choose the role if you wish. But then you can also say the director of football, look, I want it as a transfer, a loan, an end of contract, or an actually expired contract and the player's been released, so it's going to cost you no money. So you would think in the lower leagues you're really going to be using these. They're probably these three. The transfer may not be as prominent. So if we just were to choose centre back, choose free transfer, hit suggest, then all of a sudden we've got 3 players here that we can have a look at, and I haven't got the attribute masking on. 3 players we can have a look at, and if we really want to get them into the club to see exactly how they are, we can just offer a trial. So if we do that for all 3 of them, nice and easy, we then can have a full look at them and see if there's any issues that we pick up once they've been at the club for a little while. I've only just put 1 week there for the trial, but potentially you do need to use 2 weeks just to be able to get that full knowledge on each player. So if there is any potential, while we haven't got attribute masking on and we can see all the attributes there, it really is just about clearing up on the report, and we can't see it on here, but any particular traits or any particular issues they may have, whether it's around consistency, whether it's around big matches, whether it's around injury proneness, all those things may not come up in the first week. So you do need that 2nd week just to make sure your staff can have a look at the player correctly. So that's my first method of scouting, and probably, when I say first, probably one of my least favourite ones, but at the same time it really is an easy way of getting players identified to you in the lower leagues. So the next point is in the scouting screen, and I want to talk about scouting assignments. Now generally down in the lower leagues you may not have a lot of scouts, but you'll usually always have one, and while they can always just scout the country that they've got their experience in, so we've got Stephen Thompson, he's got English or Scottish large world knowledge. I don't want him to scout all of Scotland, so when we've created an assignment here, we want to choose, let's just choose Stephen, hit confirm, and then we can choose we can do a lot of different things. We can choose the player type, what type of player it's going to be. We can choose, is it going to fit into the tactic that we're using now? Do we want to choose a position? Do we want to specify attribute values? Well, for me, I just want to look at the couple of main things. I want to look at the competition. So when I'm looking at building up a team and building up the potential I have in the squad, I'll choose under 18s, and then I can always choose extra things here. So potential ability is going to be very good, and then I can start that assignment. So all of a sudden you've got your scout not just looking through the entire country and nation like with us here in Scotland, but you can then get them to specify exactly, really drill down on what you're looking for. And for us, we're looking for really young players with a high potential, someone that can develop into a really strong player, or we can just sell them again in a year or two and make some money, so we can start to spend money building the club with first team players, or even start to build and develop the facilities. Here we are back in January, and you can see that we've got an email that's come through just to notify us that we can have a recruitment meeting with the board and the higher up staff. And this is a new feature for Football Manager 2021, which is quite interesting. And actually for me, it helps me in the lower league saves, because this meeting comes up generally a couple of times a year in the pre-season, generally in that January transfer window, and then at the end of the season as well. And basically this meeting is just about, as you can see here, having a look at the remaining club vision and transfer budget, determining what areas we wish to improve, reviewing any recommendations, and then deciding on a short-term focus. So if we jump into it by attending the meeting, as you can see here, they've called the meeting to look at the current window as it's about to finish, and they want to align us on any aims for our late transfer activity. So we want to hear any suggestions. They've given us 4 reasons why they, on the meeting agenda, what they want to talk about. So our left winger, our right winger, if there's any potential targets, and then if we want to add any new agenda points. So let's get started and let's have a look at the reports now. So basically what they'll do is, it's similar to the Director of Football suggestions and transfer targets, where they will basically give us options to replace the players that we were having a look at. So from this being a left winger, we've got someone here offered to us, Ojo, who's a left winger, who's a free agent. And they've given us 2 options in this category. So for me, because I want to get more information about him and I don't want to sign him or spend the money scouting him, we can just click offer trial. And then same with the next one, Joel Cooper, again, someone else if I want a free transfer. We haven't got any of the scouting scope for him, so let's offer a trial. We then come back to the next, talking about the right winger, so let's jump into it, let's see their reports. And the same thing, so we've got 5 players here, so all I will do is just offer a trial for all 5 and move on. So in terms of other potential transfer targets, and they've got 13 for us, that is potentially just different positions in the team. They feel that these players will be able to improve the team. So again, all I'll do is I'll just offer a trial to each one of them. And you'll think it's just, for me, it's just that easy. Some of them do have scouting information that they have been able to be scouted. Looking at David Grant, who's in our division at Moreton, we do have some information about him. However, I'll just offer him a trial anyway and see what happens. Generally, if they're at another club, they might not accept that trial, but for me, I just want to see if I can get any more information, if I can get them to the club for that couple of weeks to find out as much as we possibly can and build that knowledge on each player, so that we don't have any difficult issues when we get them into the club where we haven't seen injury proneness, inconsistencies, ignoring big matches, all those kind of things. So there we are. That's how the meeting agenda works. for the recruitment meeting. If I just push forward quickly, as you can see, we've got players now saying they're either rejecting or accepting our trial bids, and that will allow us then to, with the ones that have been accepted, get them into the club and have a look at them for free. So hopefully you like this one, because I think it's actually a great new feature for this current Football Manager and something that can be built on in one of the next versions. Another valid area in the game to look at when scouting, and I think we can just quickly jump to the Scotland national team, is looking at the national teams. So if we choose the national team for Scotland, the senior squad, what we can do is we can, let's just go to, which one do we want to go to? No, we want to go to, here we'll just go to general information. If we filter by the opposite way by club, and then just come up here, and we can go to, just scroll through all the national teams, and what we're looking for is any player without a club who's going to be on that free transfer list. Just a nice and easy way of finding anyone. Here we go. Went to Andorra, you can see here, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 players who don't actually have a club and they're on a free transfer. So you'd be able to actually approach those players. You can see there will be a few, mainly in the smaller countries. But again, if you're in a lower league and you've got the option that you can actually sign someone like that, they may be better than what you have. So, and same here with Estonia, quite a number of players here that you could have a look at. Now generally that'll be for a free transfer. If you are looking at anyone you think maybe is high potential, or you're wanting high potentials, if you go to the under 18 squads, all I would normally do is just filter it by value, and I just have a look at anyone that's worth, that's young. So we've got, where are we? I'll go back to the under 18 squad. Anyone that's really young, that they're worth nothing, and you can just go in and have a look at them, and obviously offer them a trial, scout them, just figure out any way that you possibly can get some more information on them. And as you can see, there's quite a lot of players who are worth peanuts in these under 18s, and you can potentially get them before they become really, really good. As you can see here, we've actually got quite a fast winger. First touch 12, acceleration 15, pace 13. Obviously he's got a few technical attributes that need work, but he's only 16, and there's someone potentially that you could get. He's contracted, but anyway, someone you might be able to buy on a cheap price. So there we go. So international teams, definitely a key tip on scouting. If you spend a lot of time on this, it's definitely something that pays off, and definitely something worth giving it a go. And the more you do it, the more you get used to seeing which countries, which players, which national teams are going to those younger under 18s, under 19s, where it really, really pays off. Okay, and on to my main tip, the player search, farming. So when we're in the scouting screen, if we go to player search, and I've got a little bit already sorted out here, but if we just clear everything, we can have a look. So the one thing you can do, and this is probably a really, really hot tip that some people aren't aware of, if you go to your recruitment package, click on, so even though we don't have the money to spend on our scouting budget, we've only got 3.8k remaining to cover the full amount of Scotland, the full country of Scotland. What we can do is we can actually click on it, and it'll say, do we want to change it? We can click yes, and that brings up even more players. So that allows us to look at all the players across Scotland, and this will mean that we get to see even more players, 2,647, so it's been a jump up than what we could. And then once we've used all these players and we've used what we need to do, we can just drop it back down again, back down to the one we were using previously. Another trick is you can go to your transfer budget, and we can just move transfer budget here into scouting budget if you wanted, so if you did want to go higher up as well. So there is a few options just to make it a little bit easier. But what I do look for here on the player search, especially when we're in a lower league, what I want to do is I want to look at anyone who's interested in a transfer. I'll go to doubtful because I want to try and stretch and get the best players possible potentially. If we go to a quick search, we go to contract expired. This is now giving us 957 players who have got their contract expired. Now that obviously may be a bit too many, so potentially what we could do, we could go, look, change the age range. Let's go, we're going to go for some younger players. Let's go from 17 to 25, hit OK, and all of a sudden that's down to 375. So what we can do, and this will take a little bit of time, but let's just do it so you can see exactly how it works. If we just lock in, let's just pretend we've locked in all the players. We right click, we add to shortlist. Let's just go for 1 month. So now every player that is here from this recruitment package of Scotland has now been shortlisted. So if we don't want to use this anymore, so once we've got all the players we're looking for onto our shortlist, we can then change that recruitment package down back to what it was before. We then go to our shortlist, and as you can see here, that allows us to then have a look at all the players we've shortlisted. We can then click on each player, or we don't even need to click on each player, we can just pull it down, right click, we can then offer trial, put 2 weeks, yes, and all of a sudden we've got 28 players on trial that we can then have a look at. So all we need to do is keep on repeating this process until we find players that are got the ability that we need, whether it's their current ability or their potential ability, offer them contracts, and then all of a sudden you've built up hopefully a squad of really, really good players out of all the rubble and all the players who are well below the level you're looking for. There's definitely some diamonds in the rough here by farming through all the expired contracts. So that's a really, really good way, probably my top way of how I find players. Just going through that player search, pushing up my recruitment package as high as I possibly can, getting those expired players shortlisted and offered on trial. Again, saves the scouting budget, so we're not scouting them, they're coming on trial to the club for free, and that way we can pick out the cream of the crop for the club. And here we are back again, and I hope you really enjoyed those techniques we've just walked through. Definitely my personal favourite is the farming of players through the player search, and if you can just get that recruitment package right up as high as you possibly can, even just for a few days, so you can go through and shortlist and scout all those players that you may have not had access to before. Hopefully that will mean you find those extra players that will just really lift your club up here in the league and allow you to build on the great work you've done building a team and get to that next level, getting promoted into the next division. Before I go, I'd just like to say if there's any other techniques or any favourite ways you guys do scouting or finding some really, really good players, please drop them down in the comments below. Otherwise, I'll see you soon. Goodbye for now.